that logo alone kind of brings me back to
That one especially, yeah.
So we must probably be around the same age then, I guess. So we have all the same kind of the same memories of things as well, and the people and stuff like that. So where did you get that shirt? And
so I had a buddy who I wanted a shirt. So for the Much Music documentary that came out last summer, I went to it, but in anticipation of it, I was like, I knew I was going to be on the red carpet, and I was like, I want to stand out, and I want people to see this. So I got a buddy. I sent him over this logo, and he had a friend that just made this and a white T-shirt for me.
I wish, I need to get one too, because I think it's so recognizable. Like,
yeah, I was in Toronto like last year, and I was at one of the little kind of shops that make their own shirts, and they had two there, but of course they were like size extra small, which does not fit. But yeah, same shirt, and I was like, this is sick. But yeah, I didn't quite get them, but it would have been nice for sure. Because one was a green one too, which was really different kind of thing, like really cool.
Okay, yeah. So of course, I got to interview a few VJs, which we could talk about later if you want. And of course, they loved it. And I even have on the back of it, you can't see it, but like there's the older Much Music logo before this logo. So it's pretty cool.
Nice, man. Nice. I like it.
Nice. Yeah. So So we probably will get into that, because I did share that Bill Welichka little interview we did on the red carpet there. How was that documentary? Because we never got to see it because of whatever kind of controversy went on with Universal. So how was that?
Yeah, so it's unfortunately, I hope it gets released again. I think that's the issue, because of Universal, they didn't get the clearance to use certain songs, which is why it didn't get out on Crave. So hopefully they'll resolve that, because I really wish that everyone could see it, especially in Canada. But my experience, of course, was amazing. First of all, the red carpet was incredible. Like, I even made this video where when I was talking to Rick Campanelli a year prior, and I was like, wouldn't it be great if we had this reunion, with all the VJs? And sure enough, it happened pretty much there. So the red carpet was great. I interviewed a few people, including the director, Sean Menard, who's brilliant. And yeah, the documentary itself is amazing. It does focus primarily on the 80s and 90s, which is actually, I like that, because I didn't grow up. I'm born in 87, but Much Music for me was like mid 90s to mid 2000s, up until the end almost. But yeah, you really learn a lot about the history of Much Music. And the thing that I took away from it was just and I can swear on this podcast.
Oh yeah, you can say whatever you want, my friend.
Say whatever the fuck you want.
You were going off, so I figured. But they could do whatever they want. No one really gave a shit, and it worked for them though. And I think that's something that we've lost over the last few years or decade, where everything is just so formal now, and especially in the creative industry, like with music, you just got to let people be who they are and not tie them down too much. And I think that's the way to get the most out of people, is by letting them be creative and doing whatever they want.
Yeah, the freedom is the key to the creativity, I believe. Like, if you have, and not to say that restraints are bad either, because sometimes that's kind of what spawns some really cool stuff, because you only have so many tools to work with. But yeah, the freedom to do as you will is where it's at.
Exactly. And obviously, just like anything in life nowadays, there's a lot of things back then that you couldn't get away with. For example, Ed the Sock.
Yeah,
cannot do that. Although he's on radio, you can't really do what he did back then now. You know what I mean?
No, he had the freedom to just roast and annihilate pretty much anyone who came through.
Yeah, like Triumph the Dog and stuff, like kind of similar deal. You would never, no. Not a thing.
Exactly. And it's like nowadays, you would call that bullying. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong what he did, but it's different times.
For sure, yeah. No, it is. And we kind of touch on that a lot too, because it's like, oh yeah, like, can you imagine, like some of the TV shows, some of the music, even like what you're saying, like the bumpers on Much Music kind of thing, where like that would never fly.
Yeah.
Never fly.
Nope.
And even even on YouTube, if people seen them, maybe younger, I'm not picking on younger people, but the younger people probably see me like, holy shit, like what's going on here? Yeah, like it's crazy. It's
so
like,
we were very fortunate, and I know every generation says this, but I truly believe I'm maybe an elder millennial. I'm born in 87. I think we're truly the last great generation. I really believe that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, especially of the analog world. Like maybe we don't sit well in the digital world, but in the analog, for sure.
Well, yeah, it's a generation that's seen it all, right? We've seen it transition from from the old tapes to digital to before the internet, after the internet. So it's a whole lot of stuff that we experienced, and I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, and that's something that's kind of the reason why I wanted to start the podcast in the first place. Was based there's like a weird 10-year worth of people that are just kind of like, because when people say, "Oh, I'm a millennial," everybody does it. Am I a millennial? Like, am I, or am I? Where do I fit? Because there's like this weird 10-year window. People like born from like, say, I don't know, like 1980-ish maybe to 1990, somewhere in that neighborhood or whatever, that are just a different breed of people. I feel like we had all the analog goodies till we were 10 or whatever, and then after that we full-fledged internet people, and we see the birth of the internet, which was way different than it is now. Same thing, you could get away with anything. Not so much. Yeah. Not so much the way it is now. Yeah. Right? So yeah, it's a different world, man. Completely different world.
Yeah, and it's funny how we always say well, we'll never be like our parents, but even at my age, I'm 36 now. I always say back in my day, kids these days don't realize how tough it was to burn a CD and the effort it took, versus just a quick little click and you have a song. You have every song at your disposal, versus back then, as you guys know, you could put, I don't know, what was the max amount you could put on a CD? It was a certain amount of minutes. I forget.
I don't know,
like 72 minutes or something. Yeah,
72 minutes, which equates to, I don't know, roughly,
or a certain amount of megabytes or whatever it was.
18 songs, 16 songs ish, depending on length, and songs were longer, so you didn't get as many. So there's all that good stuff too.
Because I remember even having it worse than that. I mean, I would stay up late and listen to the radio and then press play and record on my little cassette tape player and record songs from the radio. And that's how I had my music. That was the only music that I had.
Okay, I didn't do that. I'm not going to lie. My first thing was I guess the Walkman was my first piece of music technology, I guess. Yeah.
Walkman. That's pretty advanced there.
Yeah. CD Walkman.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, I do remember though, I remember getting a double tape deck player, and then I got I don't know, Much Dance 95 or something, or whatever it would have been at whatever year it would have been kind of thing. And that was the greatest thing ever. And then I could do what you were saying, right? Buy blank tape, get my favorite song. That's my earliest memories listening to Smashing Pumpkins Zero, when the single first came out, and it was charting kind of thing. So they played it on the rock station at night or whatever, and I would stay up late with the volume on very low, so that my parents couldn't hear me up at 11 o'clock in the night, because we were from the East Coast too. So everything came on a lot later, so we had to wait for everything, right? So everything came on between 11 and 1. So you'd stay up real late with the volume on 1.5, just barely listening to your ear up against the speaker, right? Yeah. Good old days, man. Kids will never know the struggle to listen to a song. It's
no. Sorry, and where were you guys born and raised?
So we're originally from Newfoundland, so we're from a little town called Bishops Falls. Shout out to the guys watching at home. Yeah, that's where we're from. So we both grew up together, we've known each other since we're 5 years old or whatever, something like that.
Nice. I'm actually going to Newfoundland for the first time in the end of July.
Oh, you're in for a treat.
Yeah, it's going to be beautiful there. Hopefully beautiful weather in July. Whereabouts are you going?
So my best friends who live here, her family, they live in Newfoundland, her parents. I'm very close to them, and so I'm going to stay at their place in St. John's. I don't know the exact location, but I know they live in a massive fucking mansion right by the water.
Nice.
And that's all I care about. Yeah. So I'm good.
Yeah, you're in for a treat, man.
You'll be treated like a king, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Especially to talk very mainlander, and you'll get treated like gold.
Hey, who's this guy who doesn't talk like us?
Yeah. No, it'll be good. July. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if the Iceberg Fest and stuff is still going on. I can't remember when that goes on now. But there's some good festivals and stuff all the time. And downtown's beautiful. Just hit up a bunch of bars on George Street. You'll have fun.
Yeah, I heard about, I don't know when the music festival is, I think on George Street. I think I'm missing that, I believe.
Yeah, there's a couple, because now they introduced, what is it, Iceberg Fest or whatever it is, over by in the Kitty Vitty Village there.
Okay. And there's George Street Festival as well.
And then there's George Street Fest, yeah. So George Street Fest is towards the end of the summer, I want to say, but I could be wrong. I haven't done that in a long time. But there's some pretty good festivals there, but there's always something going on in St. John's in the summertime.
Right, and actually, so their wedding, which was almost 10 years ago, they had they brought a bit of Newfoundland to the wedding, so everyone got screeched in. So an honorary Newfie, yeah.
Nice.
You got to kiss the cod as well? Oh, yeah.
I kissed a fake puffin.
Well, guess what? You're probably going to have to do it again when you go down on George Street.
Yeah, if you are up for it, go to O'Reilly's Pub and get yourself screeched in the official way. And it'll be fun because O'Reilly's is a really good time. It's an old school Irish pub downtown that's pretty rocking every day of the week. So yeah, head in there, get yourself officially screeched. You will definitely have to kiss a real codfish, though. But it is wicked. You'll have a good time.
Awesome. No, I love it. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love when people say I'm going to Newfoundland because not very like I don't know. I know people go there. I'm not that naive, but not a lot of people go there. So when people say it, I'm like, oh, you're in for such a treat. It's gonna be so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, I went to the East Coast for the first time this past March for the Junos in Halifax, and you know, also a great time. Although I did not expect all the roads to be so fucking steep. That was ridiculous.
I seen that video on your TikTok. I was doing a little more snooping last night before they prepare here, and yeah, I seen that video because I used to live in Halifax. That's where I did my schooling and stuff. It was in Halifax. So yes, I know that street. There, you took a picture. They had a selfie of yourself. I recognized the wall. I was like, yeah, that road is street. That road is steep.
Yeah, and like I'm in shape, like not like I'm fit, but I was like I'm struggling here.
How'd you find Halifax and the Junos?
Yeah, I mean, so it was my first time there. I mean, it was a great experience. So I was able to get some media accreditation, although before I got it, I'm like, I'm going regardless. If I get it, great. If not, I'm still going to go. And luckily I got it. So that gave me access to the media room for like Saturday, Sunday night. But prior to that, you know, there's other shows, free shows, which was great. They had a big open tent, although it was freezing, but they had free shows for Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. And I went to the first two nights. Different genres like R&B, hip hop, like Classified was the first night, which was amazing. Big fan of him and Jordan, JRDN. And then the second night was a bunch of rock bands. And it was just great, especially that it was free. So yeah, it was a great, and I met new people in the media space. So it was a great time.
Good, yeah. Junos is usually a good time. Like I've kind of hung around a few of them. They're fun.
Yeah,
it's a good time.
It's pretty good exposure too. Like good, like you said, to meet people in the media field and stuff like that. It's like it'd be so awesome to go to a music festival like that. Is that so you've done Junos, you've done the what else? You've been to so many red carpets.
Not that many.
It seems like it.
I don't know what I mean. Again, Much Music was last year. This year, I went to not red carpet. There was Canadian Music Week, which is a conference that anyone could go, and you guys, I think, in the future could go because they talk a lot about podcasts and everything. It's just people in the media industry. You know, they have a conference. There's shows at night. So speaking of that, I got to go see Finger 11. If we want to talk about '90s, that was great. Yeah,
nice. Yeah,
probably one of my favorite Canadian bands.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, there's one of many, I suppose, but.
Yeah, that's the one thing I will like. We used to have a festival back home, Salmon Festival, and we were pretty well treated. I will say, like for being so far away, we used to have like all the like the '90s rock bands, like Canadian rock bands, come through almost every year. So it'd be like 5-6 really good bands come through. It'd be the Hip and OLP and whoever else was current Tea Party. Matt's Good Band. I don't know. I've seen it. Jeez, I don't even know how many people at that, but that was a really good time. Yeah, that was fun back then.
Yes.
And Finger 11 was one of those bands. I've seen them twice at Samfest.
Yeah, and that was even, I think the first time they played Salmon Festival, they were actually called Rainbow Butt Monkeys.
They were, yeah, they totally were. Yeah, I was really young then, actually.
Yeah, that's a deep throwback.
If you don't know now, you know.
Exactly, yeah. And then, I definitely, lately I've been, like, I still love doing interviews, but I definitely want to cover more festivals. So I actually just got media passes for Osheaga in Montreal.
Oh, that's a great one.
So, nice. I was actually already going to be there, luckily. So I'm born and raised in Montreal. My family's there, and I actually have a wedding there on the Saturday. But I'm going to go to Osheaga on Friday and Sunday.
Nice. That's a fun festival. I've never been, but I always see the lineup, and every time I'm jealous.
What is the lineup this year?
I don't know what it is this year. I can't remember.
Every year, I know. So SZA. There's always 3 headliners, and then there's like everyone else below them. I know he's not the headliner, but Hosier is one of them.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Take me to church.
It's funny.
Take me to church.
Yeah, like the one guy who I really want to see, I won't because it's on the Saturday, which will be busy. Is Talk? If you guys know who Talk is.
Talk is good, yeah. Because they've been around for a little while, but they seem to be up and coming in the last, like, say, year and a half or something like that. Maybe that's how at least in my ears anyway.
Yeah, I'm totally in the dark on those guys. Not too sure at all.
It's all good. Yeah. So no, even if you don't know the artist there, like for example, my uncle, he actually went to Woodstock '69. Like,
wow,
he's that cool. We actually revisited it this past year, like 55 years later. So he's a big music guy. He went to Osheaga last year, and he's going to go again this year. he's not into those bands at all, but he just wants to go because, just to check out the scene. So
Sure.
It's just good for anyone.
Nice, man. Yeah. So I pulled up the list real quick.
Yeah.
So for Friday night, we got Noah Khan, Melanie Martinez, Dominic Fink, Little TJ, and Skepta are the Friday night headliners. Then Saturday is Green Day, Smashing Pumpkins, because I think they're doing that tour. Martin Garrix, Renee Rapp, and Labyrinth are the Saturday night headliner. Sunday is Caesar Hosier, Justice, Jungle, Hamza, Still Woozy, and Alves. Yeah, so that's a pretty good, decent lineup just in headliners.
I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of people I don't know on that list. Like,
there's a few, definitely. Yeah,
something for everyone.
Sunday night got me. I had to stop and read.
But again, even if you don't know them, it's just a good scene. There's just the vibe is great. Montreal. I'm not being biased because I'm from there, but Montreal puts on amazing festivals. I think they do festivals and music scene better than Toronto, in my opinion. But that's just me.
Yeah, no, that's not a
a
controversial take to me, at least. Maybe probably is at home though. People in the Toronto people.
Yeah,
but I agree. I think Montreal has I won't say like a better art scene because it's not what I'm going for, but like I don't know. I find it more interesting to me, at least.
Yeah.
I find Montreal to be more historical. Has that more historical kind of feel to it.
Yeah, a little more deep cut kind of stuff. Good, like I don't know, just stuff that's I don't know. Toronto's very New York, you know what I mean? Like it's just big bangers, which is fun. There's room for everybody. But yeah, I know what you mean though.
So how long have you lived in Toronto, and when did you make the move out there?
Yeah, so I moved, I think the exact date was January 23rd, 2016. So about 8.5 years now. In terms of why, didn't have to, 2 reasons really. One, my French sucks. Although people think everyone's bilingual, I never did French immersion, so my French sucks.
That's surprising,
and then,
actually.
Yeah, and then just, like anything else, more opportunities. It's a bigger city. Although, to be fair, I initially told my parents I'm moving to Vancouver because I love Vancouver. I love BC, and I will be there one day. I'm going to put it out there. But they're like, it's too far. It's too expensive. I'm like, you're right. I'll move somewhere closer. That's not expensive at all. Toronto.
No kidding.
Nothing expensive there.
No.
Exactly. So no, but honestly, best decision ever. It forced me to be independent and just, get out of my comfort zone. And I love it. I've met some amazing people, and yes, it's not perfect. Every city has their flaws, but it's a great city.
Yeah, being out of your comfort zone gives you room to grow, right? I think so.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So on that note, what was your intention? Like, was your intention to move to Toronto to become, like an internet personality or a media personality, or just like looking to kind of get involved in it, not necessarily be behind or in front of the camera necessarily?
I definitely didn't think about where I'd be now. And again, this is still all a passion for me. I'm not making any money or professionally, although that's the goal with music and the TikTok stuff. But I always had a passion for media and radio. So I actually worked for several radio stations, or one, I guess, in Montreal, the big one, like Virgin Radio, which is Bell Media. Yeah. So there's a few stations there, in promotions and also as a board op. So I was never on air, although I was looking to get into that. And then I kind of didn't pursue it. And I kind of regret it because for people who know in radio, usually you got to start at small markets and work your way up. And I just wasn't prepared to move to a buttfuck nowhere, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I get you.
To do that. But a lot of people have to, and I totally respect that. But no, I did promotions, board hopping, which was super fun. I did overnights. So,
nice.
There's definitely some fun moments there. Interesting people you work with overnights, that's for sure. There's some characters. And then I made my way here, worked for, who was a Stingray, which is, anyways, a few stations in Toronto. Never really moved up in any way, but that's okay. It was still a great experience. And again, because I worked in radio, that's why I started my TikTok. Because for people who don't know, in Canada, we have what's called CanCon. You have to play a certain amount of Canadian music, 33%, 35%. I don't know.
Yeah, it's it's easily a third.
Yeah, exactly. And some people in radio always make fun of it and they get annoyed with it. But at the end of the day, it allows you to be exposed to all these amazing artists. And for me, I'm like, I have all these artists in my head, and I need to just put it out there. And what I love is when I post these videos and people are like, either A, I can't believe I haven't heard that in a long time, or B, I had no idea they were Canadian. And I'm like, yeah, there's so many talented artists in Canada,
especially in the 90s too. I think a lot of them get forgot about. So when you bring them up, like it gives you that kind of nostalgia kick,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh yeah. Like I've seen a list the other day, and like the list was, I think it was 20 or 25 artists you didn't know were from Canada. And like I knew most of them, I suppose, but then there was some I was like, oh really? Like I didn't even realize that, even as a Canadian. And I mean, not that I'm like, I don't follow pop music crazy about like in that way, but I mean, it's in you have no other way but to see it kind of, but I didn't know. They fooled me.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, working in radio is fun. Definitely has its. I know people are like, oh, it must be the best job ever. You get free tickets all the time. No, that's not the case. But I have seen a lot of big acts for free, and I can't complain. I've seen literally all the biggest acts in the world for free, pop wise at least. But no, it was fun. And again, I just wanted to put all that out there on the internet. This was 2021 COVID, and obviously people were bored. And I started TikTok, and I didn't intend on doing interviews, but my first interview ever was with Rick Campanelli, Rick the Temp. And I guess it just snowballed from there. I got the bug to interview people, and I'm so glad I've done it, because I think the reason why I started doing interviews is because, you know, you see so many people when they talk to people, it's just the same old shit, same questions. It's kind of boring, and especially I feel bad for the artists because they have to answer the same questions. So I'm like, I basically want it to be like Nardwuar, you know?
Yeah.
And just catch people off guard, make it interesting and fun. And I'd like to think I'm doing that, and people enjoy it. And so it's great. I love it.
Yeah, I think Nardwuar, he's probably the holy grail in terms of journalism, and like just to see the reactions on people's face. Like that's what everyone loves to see, you know?
Yeah, his deep dive. Whoever's doing his deep dive, if it's not just, it can't be just him. Somebody's helping that man. But wherever that man gets his info, jeez. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm very curious. It wouldn't shock me if he has a team. I mean, for me, it's like, and I've seen some of his like live speeches or talks. And it's like, how do I, you know, what do you do? Like, what do you, as a interviewer or journalist, what should you do? It's like, just do some research. You don't have to do deep dives like he does. But like, do your research, like out of respect for the artist or whoever you're talking to, like know who you're talking to a little bit. And then actually listen to your recent podcast, which you just dropped, I think, whatever it was. And you're talking about Bill Welichko, who you're going to talk to, which, by the way, kudos to you for getting him.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And you mentioned about how he was like so good at like talking to people, no matter if it was like a big act, a big star, or like anyone below them, you know? And I like to take on that same mantra where I don't care who I'm talking to, if it's an up and coming act or the biggest star, I'm going to do my research and give you that respect. And yeah.
You're exactly right. Like, cause we're still new to this, and I have no interviewing background whatsoever. No, so I'm kind of learning as I go, but I do appreciate the craft. Right. And I want to make a real honest effort out of it. And, you know, I do a little bit of justice to what we're doing here.
Yeah. Well, let me flip it on you. So why did you guys start this podcast?
Kind of the same thing, you know. we talking about growing up in a small town, and how and a lot of the times we do get thrown off onto Much Music because of how big of an impact it made on us, because we grew up in a small town and on an island. So to see the world from, you know, outside of
big
there,
town perspective, and Toronto to us was like, I don't know, if like you grew up in the Midwest somewhere, maybe, or I don't know, whatever kind of similar idea in the States, and then like you couldn't get to New York kind of, or whatever, you know what I mean, or LA really in a way. And it was like mystical. Like Much Music to me was like this mystical place, really truly, because it didn't even almost seem real, because there's no way I'm getting to Toronto. Like you see concerts and interview, and you're like, oh, because they would advertise it's coming up, and you could buy tickets to come and watch it and do whatever. So I would get caught up in that. Like, oh, I'd love to do, you know, if I can hitchhike to Toronto, you know, like that kind of thing. Yeah.
So basically, it's that feeling we're trying to maybe it's our midlife crisis.
Probably
I don't know.
Probably a bit of midlife crisis, but I mean, we're not hurting nobody.
No, it's fun to talk about the past and Much Music.
And I'm interested in talking to people. Like that's another part of it. Like, I mean, even my jobs, like that's kind of the best part of it, is that I get to talk to people and see what they got to say, you know what I mean? Even though it's not always what I want to hear, but I just want to hear other people's stuff. I want to hear what they got to say, opinions on things. Like I don't come from I don't feel like I do come from an angry place. Doesn't matter what your opinion is or anything. I just want to know. I'm just curious. Really, it's sheer curiosity mostly. Like, how do you? First, it started with how do I do this? Like, because like it kind of started with poking around in my basement a little bit, and then was like, hey, do you want to be on the podcast? and then
yeah. Because it wasn't a joint venture. It was you asked me to be on, I think, episode 3, and then I just you couldn't get rid of me. So
yeah, here we are. So we moved into the house, and here we are.
Yeah. So and we started with audio, and then growing to video, and then like it just keeps evolving, and so here we are.
I'm going to assume someone's asked you this already, but they see the name of the podcast and like, you're talking about 90s.
Yeah.
How come not 80s?
So I don't know. I named it, I guess, technically speaking, but it was basically it's the premise of there's that weird generation, number one, and I feel like 1985. It's a really square number. Every 5 years you land on the 0 or the 5. Kind of like there's something about it. It's got this thing, but it's mostly like I feel like we turned 5 because most people don't generally remember much behind 5 kind of thing, like 4, 3, 2, 1. There's not many things going on, but 5 kind of clicks usually. So 5 for us was 1990, so we fit like directly in the 90s kind of thing, right? Like everything fit perfectly. Like we graduated in 2003, which was basically just the leftovers of the 90s kind of thing, like falling over into it, and then we were gone. And that was kind of what it is. Like that's how I envisioned it. It was like, and the year was 1985.
Yeah,
we showed up and then we did our thing and left.
Live our lives in 5-year increments.
Yeah, there's something. I don't know. There's something about it. Yeah.
So the year 1985 was the year we were born. So so that's we just kind of I don't really know.
That was just kind of how it came up in my mind when I was thinking about it.
That's fine. No, I'm fine. Speaking of, it's funny because I'm going to have my 20th year high school reunion next year. So you guys just had yours probably, right?
Yeah.
We're getting old.
2023, was their 20 year. So yikes.
Yikes is right. 40 is like right there. It's right on my... But I mean, and honestly, I mean, I look older. I know that. I'm not naive to that fact, but I definitely don't feel older in that way. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I feel wiser, I guess, but I don't feel older. That's not the right way. Sometimes I forget I'm the adult in the room, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah, no, I'm a firm believer in if you have a youthful spirit and you don't take life too seriously, it'll contribute to your lifestyle, and I think it'll keep you looking young and acting young. Look at Rick Campanelli. He's like 52 years old.
Man,
look at him, dude. Amazing.
He looks good.
He's a handsome man.
He's a handsome devil. From a 10 to that, what a handsome dude.
And Rick Campanelli, you said that he was your first interview. Like, that's how we got thrown onto your page, right? Because we early on in our podcast talking about Much Music and stuff, and then hashtag Much Music, and then sure enough, here you are interviewing Rick Campanelli. So and then you followed us. I think you're one of our first 50 followers. So
easy.
We appreciate
easy
like the support from you, and we love seeing that you're viewing the stories, liking the posts, so we appreciate it.
Yeah, man, and I think that's what it is, especially with Canadian creators. I think it's important that we support each other, especially on TikTok and stuff, because there's like no creator fun, which is bullshit. I hope they change that eventually.
That's one thing I'm not like, because we tried all the avenues kind of thing, like, but I don't know.
I had a hard time with TikTok.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's hard to monetize, and it's hard. Like, not that I want to make a pile of money, but if I could put a little bit back into what we're doing and make it better, that kind of thing. But I agree, it's a bit hard. It's tough, and without because even like I do a card thing, like I wanted to do like live streams on TikTok because that's easy, but I can't really do it the way I want because you can't set up stores. Like, I don't want to shit all over CRTC again, but grow up anyway. But anyway, but you know what I mean? Like, they make it tougher for Canadians. As much as I'm cool with the Canadian content thing, whatever, that's here nor there, or just they do make it way tougher.
Yeah, 100%. But I think we're a resilient bunch, and I think if you're passionate about something, you'll just keep going. And part of me is like, I'm going to do it because I'm passionate about it, and because once it feels like a job or something, I'm not going to do it. I'll get burnt out. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
But again, the other part of me is like, I do want it to be a career down the line, or so we'll see.
Well, that's the thing. You just got to put it out there, and someday the right person might see it, and you might jump off that point to something greater, and that's what it's all about. Like, it's putting out what we like, right? We're putting out there what we.
Oh, we lost him. What they called?
Oh! I hear you. See you.
Hey,
there you are.
You're chunking.
I don't know what was going on there. My internet switched off of something to the other internet or something here. Okay, I think we're good.
Sorry about that.
Sorry about that. That was a little.
I live in a basement apartment, by the way. I don't know if that matters.
Oh, I don't know. It's probably, who knows? It's the internet. Who knows?
Yeah.
Shout out to Rogers.
Shout out to Rogers. I don't know who you're on, but
Tell us.
tell us. Shout out. Tell us. It's
No,
working.
we're not shouting. No, tell us. Tell us. No, no good. No bueno.
No boy, no. So I was going to ask you too, because I know North by Northeast was last week, or yeah. So
Yeah.
how did you find that? Because that's something that I would have liked to have attended. I do enjoy the North by stuff.
Yeah, it was. I'm not gonna lie. I did not have a chance to go to much. I literally saw 2 artists. It lasts. So it's only. Is it 3 days, 4 days? I don't know. Anyways, my job right now is really busy. I work in events, so events are very busy in the summer, including today. I literally I got up at 5:45, woke, and I worked from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. about. Anyways, so busy day in the sun. I'm even like a little rosy. Might have some burns. But no. So I went to one night, but I'm glad I did because this artist, I saw her on TV. She was being interviewed a few weeks ago on breakfast television, and I really liked her sound. And so I reached out to her. Her name is Grace Marr. She's from Ottawa, lives in Toronto. I can't. So her exact genre, it's alternative inspiration, which is like you've never heard of that. So it's like a bit of like a, what do you call it? Not like gospel, but like, yeah, there's like kind of Christian music, but also like contemporary as well. There's a mixture. She's super talented. Anyways, I interviewed her before her set, and I put a clip up and some other stuff. And then I saw her perform, and I was blown away. So I'm so glad I got to see her, even though I didn't see much. I saw her, and again, she was awesome. So
nice. That's good. Yeah, that's one of the things I've always wanted to attend. That's one of the things, like, same thing. I've seen how much music, and I want to go see, but just never lines up.
Yeah, and I would say, and the also really good thing about North by Northeast, even though I didn't see much, is that for anyone who wants to go to it, it's like $35 for the entire thing. So you're getting like the greatest deal ever.
Yeah, and you get a good chance to see some potentially and I mean everybody's great. I don't mean that, but you do have the potential to see some acts that are going to be up and coming or like very much in the media here coming up, and they'll be right there, like literally right there.
And I always like to give this example, and this isn't North by Northeast, but at Oceaga, and this was like 2013, 2014, I saw The Weeknd perform in the daytime, and he was a nobody.
Wow. Nice.
So
yeah, man, that's how it goes, right?
That's crazy.
Yeah, one of my favorite concerts is seeing the Arkells at ECMAs, and it was a night before they had actually like have the broadcast, so they were just playing like essentially they were a headline showcase show kind of thing or whatever, like. They were nominated and for best new rock artist, I want to say that year, maybe or something, whatever it was. Anyway, but they found out on stage, like, of course, like they kind of some people get told the night before, and there's things that go on or whatever. So somebody told them the night before, and of course, brought out bottles of champagne, and everybody's having. No, it was awesome. One of the best shows I've ever seen, but it was kind of like the night before Arkells broke. It was awesome. Yeah, it was super cool.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah.
From like 2 feet away, it was awesome. Yeah, it's super cool. That's the beauty of the concert. That's another thing too. I think is very important. But I don't know if it's going. I can't say it's going by the wayside because it is. It's just transforming. I feel like the dance stuff is kind of taken over. More pop music kind of festivals have taken over a little bit more so like than the rock stuff or whatever. It feels like it around here. I feel like anyway, but I don't know what it's like in different places. But
yeah, I think country's having a big moment right now. Absolutely. I would say
we're in the heart of country over here.
Yeah.
As a dude from Newfoundland who pretty much primarily listens to rock and roll music, it's an odd place to be.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, and like seeing I think like Nickelback is going to go full country in my opinion soon.
Yeah,
but then I love like this blend. Obviously got Post Malone with what's his name, Morgan Wallen.
Yes,
they just put out a song, and then you have Ronnie Radke, with he put out a song with Jelly Roll, which is fucking amazing by the way.
Jelly Roll.
Yeah.
And that's about as close to the country as it gets, probably. Something like a Jelly Roll, somewhere in that neighborhood. But yeah.
And even, Dallas Smith, I think he was early on the crossover.
Oh, 100%. He was been around doing that for a long time now. For 10 years, probably, even at this point. Maybe more. Maybe even more.
Yeah, I spoke to him back in January. He was my first interview of this year. And remember, it was he got so much snow in Vancouver. And yeah, he's literally the most successful either Canadian country artist or at least male Canadian country artist of like all time. And no one knows that.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's like a hidden gem in some ways or whatever.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously people know him from Default, and shout out Default. Like they have some sick songs, and yeah, it's funny.
Is that what would you consider your primary like listen? What is your go-to genre to listen to?
I mean, growing up in a major city, I grew up in Montreal, live in Toronto. Pop was everywhere. I love pop. I love R&B and hip hop. I always like to say this funny thing where I've always been a Backstreet Boys fan, but as you guys know, growing up in the '90s and 2000s as a straight man, you sometimes don't want to admit that you liked boy bands. It's true, right?
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. You know, but then the funniest story was when I met my best friend at the time, who were just getting to know each other, and he's like hardcore country, grew up in a small town, Ontario, and we're in the car, and he started mentioning how he loves Backstreet Boys. I'm like, what?
Well, that's something, yeah. Like, because I think we opened a podcast with Backstreet Boys. I think it might have been our Halloween episode.
Yeah,
we had Backstreet's Back, and we were just fired right up. I mean, you can't not love that song.
Yeah.
No, they got classics, right? And like as you get older, like the it doesn't matter anymore either, right?
Yeah, I just like what I like. Yeah,
it doesn't matter. I was really snobby when I was younger. I don't care anymore. If I like it, I just like it.
And now it's almost nostalgic to listen to those first couple of albums too, right?
Sure, yeah. That Spice Girls, even like I like hearing a Spice Girls song. Man, throws me way right back to like grade 7 or whatever, grade 8. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Sure, yeah, and there's always and again, because I focus on Canadian nostalgia, you know, everyone always likes to bring up certain bands, and when you hear these bands, you know, like B44 or Swollen Members, you know, people are like, holy shit,
Swollen Members.
Yeah, and it's funny when people always want to bring up Soul Decision, and to me, I live in this world, and they're like, do you remember Soul Decision? I'm like, of course I remember Soul Decision.
Especially working in radio back, you know. You had to play those songs on pop radio.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm trying to get the lead singer Trevor Guthrie I'm trying to talk to him, so we'll try to make it happen. So yeah,
nice, that'd be awesome. Yeah, that'd be sick. That's funny.
Yeah. What about you guys? So you grew up with country then mainly? Yes.
No, I wouldn't say that. Well, I did it anyway. I don't know what other people like. My dad was a real rock and roll fan kind of thing. Like, so I grew up like we wake up before hockey or whatever. Saturday mornings would be like Queen on like 35, like face meltingly loud. Dad, like 7 o'clock in the morning kind of thing.
Yeah.
Kiss is a big thing in my house. Queen, like opera rock a lot. It was kind of like a thing. It seems like Dad was really into Styx.
Meatloaf, maybe.
No, Meatloaf was a little too like late in the game kind of thing. He was already like into Styx and everything else first. Yeah. And then like he didn't like I know he was really into Zeppelin and that kind of stuff too, but like that didn't come on until later kind of thing. It seemed like he was on a kick or something. There's something going on. He was on a kick. And like it's funny because by the time I kind of recognized what he was listening to, I was probably about the age I am now, maybe a little bit younger, but that was probably like 35 maybe when I kind of caught on to all that. But that's what I listened to primarily growing up in my house. Just classic rock and a lot of Newfie music, right? Like you get a lot of Newfie tunes happening. That was a big thing.
Yeah,
for
because
sure.
Our main 2 radio stations were rock channels, like at the time. Now Oz FM is primarily pop and stuff like that, but at the time it was both kind of classic rock. So for me, I grew up classic rock. I remember my mom had a Best of the Doors double album, and I remember listening to that nonstop, right? So yeah, definitely got some exposure to some classic rock from my parents, and that's kind of where I steered off into rock in the new metal era through high school and stuff like that.
Hard into the new metal.
Yeah. Limp Bizkit?
Oh yeah,
Korn, Limp Bizkit. I mean anything in that, like Deftones or whatever, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I got really hard. But like we talk about it a lot is Napster. Like Napster, for us especially, like there was no record stores. Like you couldn't just go like peruse the record store. No. You like had to go to Walmart or probably Welco at the time even and look at the 10, 20, whatever, you know, even at their finest, they probably still only had 100 artists, which sounds like a lot, but like 50 of them are pop artists and 25 or whatever. And you get a couple new release, you know what I mean? There's not much in terms of variety, right? Yeah, no. So it was a little bit different. So when Napster came along, that changed the game totally kind of thing. Like, because it would always be like passed around dub tapes, stuff like that. Like that was kind of like my first exposure to a lot of stuff was like somebody would dub you a tape and then just write the song list on it and pass it to you. So like that was kind of how when I first got into like Rage Against the Machine, that was how I got it. Red Hot Chili Peppers, the first 3 Nirvana albums, like I still have I want to say burnt, but a dub tape with the 3 first Nirvana albums on it, one cassette kind of thing, right? You got to flip it side B to get the other half of Unplugged. So yeah, like that's there, like that kind of stuff. So it was a bit like same thing, struggle. It was a struggle to get things. So like when Napster showed up, it was like I just type it in and it gives it to me. This is amazing. And you just load up and go to bed, and next morning you wake up with 100 new songs, and it was awesome. And it was random stuff, right? Like, you know, or you get a couple and maybe a name of a song from a buddy, and then you'd end up putting that in, and you'd find 10 more songs that kind of just happened to be in the list. You'd try those out too, and you find live things that you weren't expecting, and yeah, cool stuff, really cool stuff back then. But that was kind of the problem, was you just couldn't get anything. So we just, yeah, so it was always classic rock, or like they had Casey Kasem's Top 40 would come on Saturday mornings or 10 o'clock or whatever it would be, and they would do that whole thing. Casey Kasem, yeah, that's a throwback.
That's a name, yeah. Wow, great name, yeah.
Yeah, big radio, and I mean he does lots of voiceovers. People don't even realize like how far back he goes. Like he's back into the 60s, like he was in Scooby-Doo. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like he goes way back, right? But yeah, Casey Kasem Top 40. That's a nostalgic thing. I turned it on and listened to the intro the other day just to see, like, just to hear it, and I was like, holy cow. Haven't heard that in like 30 years. Nuts.
Yeah. Again, it was a different time, and I don't have any regrets, and I'm not a sentimental person, but I wish I kept all my my Discman, my Walkman, just to see what music I had on there, you know, and like all my CDs. Like, I wish. Oh,
I'm a hoarder. I have everything. I moved all around Canada. I still got pretty much all of it. I'm just a hoarder. I have my original Napster like library burnt onto a CD that I can load up right now if I felt like.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm a hoarder. I don't know. Something with music, I can't let it go. And everything else I could care less, but I can't let the music go. I don't know why. It drives me. And I can get it anytime I want. It's no big deal, but you never know.
That's the thing. I started collecting CDs again, actually, because I enjoy the physical media, and I think eventually, you know, it's all going to disappear. So I'm kind of recollecting things that I had as a child, as a teenager, and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. Cheap stuff.
Yeah,
anyway.
no, that's fair. I think people are starting to. I don't know if it's Blu-ray or like DVDs again, because I guess a lot of things they're like not going to be like online anymore for some reason, like certain movies. I don't know.
Yeah, there's some kind of like it's like time restrictions kind of thing or whatever on the copyrights and stuff like that, and the contracts with like whoever, like say Universal owns it, and they run out the time at 10 years and goes missing. Like nobody buys up the right. Like it's all these weird things, right? So yeah, there will be a bunch of stuff that'll just kind of disappear if you don't have it on a physical copy, I think.
Yeah, well, speaking of that, like, thank God for the Much Music documentary, because Sean Menard, the director, said because of the documentary, he was able to save a lot of these archives, and now they're digitizing them, I guess, slowly but surely, which is amazing. Because imagine like all that history of decades, and it would just be vanished, like because they're all in physical tapes, you know?
Yeah,
so,
big reel tapes. Which, yeah, I can't imagine. Yeah. Like I did something when I was going to school, I dubbed a bunch of like old, like same thing, reel to reel tape interviews over from like old CBC stuff. So they were trying to like clear out, they didn't want the tape. I mean, the tapes take up so much room. So they were trying to clean up and move some buildings around or whatever. So they got us to dump a bunch of tapes to digital. I mean, I spent like weeks, months, I guess, technically doing that. Like, and now they have it, you know, stored in a bank kind of thing, which is nice or whatever, right? But it is worth it, and it's like some of the interviews are crazy, and like I'm sure like some of these things have never seen the light of day. They were just in this closet, and yeah, it was really cool. But I got to sit and listen to like crazy interviews that nobody's ever heard for like 50 years, for like months on end, which is interesting. It's kind of like why I started listening to podcasts. I think is because of that, because it's pretty much that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think definitely when you talk to Bill Welichka, you definitely got to ask him about some of his like memorable interviews. And maybe I'm curious if he has any interviews that never aired. That'd be cool to know.
That's on my list of questions to ask. Try to ask, at least remember to ask.
A lot of that stuff of him, he saved himself and digitized, and he has that on his YouTube channel. So
yeah,
like,
he's got some stuff up. Yeah,
a lot of cool stuff. But it would be interesting to see if anything did get kind of lost in the shuffle of. I think Bell maybe bought Chum or something like that, and I read in his book that some things did go kind of disappear, and some things were thrown out, and it's a good thing that Sean actually, pushed forward in making that documentary and saved some of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's a national treasure. There should be a museum at that building. It shouldn't even be the way it is.
It's funny. I don't know if you heard, a story just came out. So it's not the music side, but the TV side, like CP24, the big news network. Yeah. They're moving buildings. They're actually moving to the building where TSN is out in like Scarborough, which is really far away.
Yeah.
But But the music side, I'm not sure. But if that whole building, like the Much Music building, which I hate to say it, it wouldn't shock me if it turns into a condo, but they need to keep that as like a heritage building, honestly.
I think so too.
Oh yeah, that's a national treasure, man. I petition right now. I'm going to design this thing right after this podcast and have that thing saved. They cannot do that. Yeah. Even the fact when I went there and the only thing that I could see was the remnants, like they got that little logo like in the window, and then you can see like the spray painted satellite. I was like, well, that's disappointing. Yeah, there's no like, I don't know. I know it's not the same, and I get it, but like, should at least be at least one big ass sign that's like, this was the Much Music building. Take your picture in front of this or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So who knows? But again, Toronto, all they care about is money at the end of the day. So who knows?
Who knows?
Right. Multi-million-dollar condos instead of a little museum of nostalgia, I guess. Kind of.
Oh yeah.
It's hard to compete.
Hopefully, we'll see what happens now. We'll see what the guys got to say about all that. But I'm interested in that. I'm going to follow that story around now. I'm interested in that.
Yeah.
What's your? I got a question for you. What's your earliest kind of like? What was the thing that hooked you to Much Music? Like, because I can kind of pinpoint when I was kind of was like, oh shit, this is super interesting.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember much from my childhood. And I know it's funny. Every time people ask me, like, "Oh, did something happen?" Like, no, like I had a great childhood. Honestly, I just had this weird memory where my brain, where I don't remember a lot. But remember random stuff. But in terms of Much Music, again, there wasn't a single moment. But definitely, like most kids, you know, coming home after school and just watching. And it wasn't even so much for the music; it was for the VJs. And it's funny when I say that because the VJs themselves will tell you. It wasn't about them. It was about, you know, obviously the artist and the music. But that's what made Much Music so special is the fact that the VJs were the rock stars, even though they didn't intend on it. But we were able to connect with them. And I think they embodied everyone in Canada, you know, whether you were talking about rap, hip hop with Master T, or, you know, just pop with Rick, although Rick will tell you he's not a pop guy. He's like a rock guy through and through. You had, of course, Strombo. With his stuff with rock and alternative and punk, and you had everyone.
All bases covered. The whole all bases covered.
Yeah,
I remember. I think it was. I want to say it was like the Temptation video by Tea Party. That's what kind of, like. I mean, I watched it before it, but that was the first time I was like, "Oh, you can do stuff like that," kind of thing or whatever. Like, I don't know. I would explain it even, but it was like. I don't know, but I do think that like your interest in Much Music and the way that they presented themselves, like especially with the like in studio stuff, or you know what I mean, like you're kind of like right in their space, kind of thing, and it's almost like you're getting to know them, but you're also getting to know the artists, that kind of thing. Do you think that's kind of like some of the impact that made you want to do what you're doing right now with this social media stuff?
Yeah, 100%. And I'm glad you bring that up because one thing I do want to bring back is intimate and interactive, you know? I think that was the best program in my opinion. So, of course, for those who don't know, Much Music, it exists only on social media now. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Not the same as it used to be. Not going to shit on the new people because it's different. It's not what it used to be, and they're doing their thing. But of course, we grew up with a different generation, with the classic Much Music, quote unquote. So I want to bring that format back specifically, where people come to a venue, either myself or someone else interviews the artist, and then they perform. And in an ideal, it kind of like actually what House of Strombo was. He did that as well, right?
Yeah,
similar to that. Just in an intimate setting. Ideally, people are not paying for it, and if they are, it's very affordable. I'm not charging 50 at 100. I'll charge $20 or less if I could. Because I think that's what people really want. A lot of people want that, and I think it's what we need, to be honest.
I feel like we miss the connection to the artist right now, and I feel like everyone is kind of getting their information in 6-second clips or 10-second clips of the hot headline and stuff like that. Yeah. So it's something that society is missing. They don't see who the person is, how everything came together, why they do what they do, right? And I think guys like Bill Welichka and George, they would get that out of people. And I think you see that in Nardwuar a little bit, but they don't perform and stuff, you know. So it'd be nice to kind of mix all that up together and present it in a way that, you know, keeps people engaged and keeps people focused and interested to learn more about who these people are, right?
Yeah, I find that like the 6-second clip thing, or you know, like these shorts, all that kind of stuff, keeps it safe, right? That's a lot of the problem. Like there's something about a live setting, like most of the intermittent actors were live. And then, what was the other one? Much More Music. Anyway, the other one, like same idea, it was live, right? So there's a
Much Music Much More Music presents.
Yeah,
So,
there's like
yeah.
there's like a danger almost in the air. You know what I mean? Like depending on who's there, obviously, right? But like there's something different about it. Like I've watched the previous one like a million times, but I rewatched it again the other day, so it was like super fresh. But like even like Bill's doing a really good job of interviewing, but he's like, well, let's get back to the show kind of thing, right? And then he goes back and kills it in the next song. Like it's like I can't imagine being there almost. Like it's like this would never go, same thing, this would never happen. These questions would never get asked, these answers would never happen, this performance would have never happened, because it would have been 1-2 minute performance followed by a 30-second interview and on to the next thing, right? Whereas it went on, you know what I mean? Like there's merit to that. It keeps you interested, it makes you want to know more, right?
And I don't know like where we like strayed from the Much Music way, which was again like doing your research and asking original questions versus the same garbage every time. Like, oh, how do you feel about it's? I forget what the term is, but like one thing you learn in like journalism, and I'm not a journalist by any means, but like you learn about asking, what is it? Not was it leading questions or whatever the opposite? Or it's like you want to ask questions that'll elicit like a long answer, not just a yes or no answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you want to ask open-ended questions.
Open-ended, yeah, exactly.
Or whatever technical term is for that.
Yeah, again, I'm not a journalist. Again, I think I just want to get... I also, it's not just about asking original questions. It's also about kind of just getting to know the person, not just the artist. Because I think, again, the artist is used to just talking about them as a musician. And it's just a break for them to just talk about something else other than music, you know? And... because they're humans at the end of the day, and I try not to put them. I don't want to put them on this pedestal. I don't like personally. I don't get starstruck, which I think is a good thing. Like, although I was a little nervous to talk to Strombo because it's fucking Strombo. He's talked to everyone. If you treat them as a human and you don't put them on this pedestal, for the most part, I think they'll appreciate that. Unless they're like a super egotistical person, then they like want you to feed into that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But, it's so.
Do you ever think that something like that has a possibility of coming back? You know, the more of the intimate, interactive kind of style, because so many people are hungry for it.
Yeah, no, I think it's. I mean, you need a few things. You need one of the issues of Toronto is, and probably many places all over, especially Canada, is they're losing places like for music, for live performance. They're losing those spaces, which obviously is awful. So we need to kind of bring more spaces in to allow for those opportunities, you know. What's it been like in Newfoundland, by the way? Have they also been losing a lot of kind of music spaces?
No, kind of in the reverse, because Newfoundland is doing a little bit better financially as a province. I don't know about person to person necessarily, but as a province kind of thing, things are going a little more smoothly based on what's going on around there. But St. John's especially, and in most places to be fair, but St. John's and a couple other places like Twillingate, like what would you, a place like over in the other coast anyway, they've been pumping a lot of money into tourism. So there's a lot more. I wouldn't say there's a lot more room, not necessarily there's like many more spaces, like they're not putting up buildings necessarily, but there's a lot more festivals available, there's a lot more time slots available kind of thing. St. John's especially, I've noticed, like I moved here in 2014, so like I lived there for better part of 9 years kind of thing, 10 years in St. John's, and like from there to now, like tenfold the amount of things going on kind of thing. And you could see it year over year, kind of you gain one or two things, you gain a couple things, yeah. So it's kind of going in reverse, but it's also not drawing anything big, you know what I mean? You're not getting, Beyonce's not showing up to play the Iceberg Fest, you know what I mean? In that kind of way. So like it's very Canadian focused, which is mostly what Newfoundland stuff has been about anyway. So yeah, kind of like in reverse, but in a different way. Like it's still local to a certain degree, even though it's Canadian, you know, big Canadian artist, it's still local in a certain type of way. But there's lots of space.
I'm curious. Sorry, I'm curious. Like, who would you say was like the last big, whether they're Canadian or not, the last big artist to come through?
Come through St. John. What would be the last big thing that I seen personally was Kiss. That was a while ago, but I think that was the Eagles technically. I guess now that I say that out loud, but that was the last big Salmon Fest. I want to say like that was the last big thing. But now, so I've started Iceberg Alley, which is like like last year was like Alexis on Fire. This year I think it's JJ Wild. I want to say. Who else was there last year? It was a packed show, actually, I think, but I can't remember who it was. I have to look it back up. But it was like all Canadian, you know, like everybody who put out an album in the last couple of years in Canadian rock like heavy rock. Most of it was pretty heavy. Cancer Bats, I think, were there with them, which is usual. I can't remember, but anyway, it was a good show. Like Matt Mays has done it a couple times now. Like, and they like similar East Coast bands to almost like, Bots are from Toronto, or whatever. But yeah, it's a very Canadian based usually. That's one thing I will say. Like a lot of the stuff that we've got to see, which kind of tied into the Much Music thing, of course, like made it more impactful almost, because it was like these are the biggest bands we ever got to see, and they're on TV and that kind of stuff. So, but in terms of big, they had Shania Twain will be there soon. Shania will probably be the biggest. If I was to say, like in the last 10 years, probably Shania. Now that I'm saying that out loud, because Alanis was there recently, but these are new, right? Like this is stuff that typically kind of doesn't go on. But also, Alanis and Shania are huge Canadian acts. They're worldwide acts in that capacity, I guess. Right? So they're outstanding kind of thing in terms of like what shows up.
It's funny. Someone on TikTok the other day told me that a lot of Americans assumed Shania was American. I'm like, no.
No, Shania's our girl.
Yeah, that's our country queen right there.
Oh yeah, that's probably about as country as it gets in reality for me. I would say maybe a little Billy Ray. Billy Ray, yeah. Oh, Billy Ray was a big hit back in the day. Yeah, not just "Achy Breaky Heart" like that album was a big hit back in the day. Yeah.
Okay, you're really deep cuts.
Yeah,
I only got into country like a year or two ago, and it was only because I started getting offers from publicists to interview their country artists. I'm like, I don't know anything. I'm a city boy, right. And again, there's the common joke, like what kind of music do you like? Everything but country. That's what everyone says. I
don't mind it since moving out here out west. I enjoy 90s country. Go figure, right? So,
yeah,
the Alan Jacksons and the Garth Brooks and the old, the classics like that. So. But I mean, it's not like it's something it's not a go-to, right? It's not something I'd be listening to every day. But I kind of just like all music, to be honest, really.
Yeah, I don't turn anybody's music off. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't tell anybody to shut their music off in that kind of way. I'm not ignorant about it or anything. I don't have to like listen hard. It could just be on.
But even here in Grand Prairie, Alberta, which is where we are right now, like it's very Canadian heavy bass. Like we see Big Wreck a lot, Glorious Sons a lot. Like Arkells have been here a few times. Like
the Hip used to come through a fair bit.
I've seen the Hip here. Sam Roberts, Our Lady Peace. I've all seen here. Like
Swollen Members
coming
through soon.
Several times.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that's.
But, so I was gonna say one of my first, if not the first, country artists I spoke to was Brett Kissel, Alberta boy.
Right. Yes.
One of, if not the nicest people I've ever met. And if you have a chance, I think you should talk to him. I think he would say yes for sure. He's so nice.
Oh, well, that'd be awesome.
There you go.
Because he sings the anthem at the Calgary Flames games.
Oh,
I think.
I believe.
No, he's Edmonton.
Edmonton. Okay, I knew it was one. See, I wouldn't want to say that to him.
Say that, now. You'd be demoted immediately.
Calgary, no way. But I knew he sang some anthem though, so that'd be great.
Yeah, maybe we'll hit him up.
But that's the thing. So you obviously put the effort in yourself. You're trying to reach out to these artists and book them yourself. That's all you, right?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, listen, and that's one of the best things about social media is that it gives us this access to the artist. Whereas before that, as you know, unless you knew someone, you're not getting a hold of them. What are you going to mail them a letter or something? You know what I mean?
Yeah, find their actual address first.
So, like, how I do, I mean, there's no weird method. It's just, like, I try to find an email if I can, because that's, I think, the best way. Because on Instagram, like, they don't always see the message, Yeah. But, yeah, usually I try to find the publicist or the manager of that artist, unless that artist is, like, hasn't done much in a while, and I hate to say that, because then they're easier to reach if they haven't done much in a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but no, listen, and for me, I think it's about being persistent and just, if they say no, okay, try again in a few months. And I'll send messages every few months. Hey, just following up. Do you want to talk? Okay. Biff Naked, who I just spoke to 2 days ago. This was supposed to happen back in March of last year, and there was some miscommunication, and I just kept on reminding her publicist, like, hey, when are we going to reschedule? And it finally happened 2 days ago.
That's awesome.
That was a good interview, too. I watched that one last night.
She comes through.
There's some good ones, man. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Strongbow was really good, too. I'm a little biased because of Strongbow, but either way, it was a really good interview.
So I love and it's not a long story, but the Strongbow story is crazy because, again, same thing with him. I just DM'd him on, like, TikTok or Instagram. He saw my messages, but he didn't respond. I'm like, okay, whatever. And I don't want to be that guy where, like, I'll be persistent, but I don't want to be that guy that, like, oh, it's him again. You know what I mean? I hate that. Because I know how that feels. So Eventually, when I got him one day, he's like, "Yeah, let's do it." I'm like, "Okay." So, and then
I wasn't even prepared for that.
Yeah, and then once we were talking, and then he told me like during the interview, he's like, "Yeah, I wouldn't have done this if it wasn't for Rick." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, Rick messaged me. He's like, yeah, like if you could just, I don't know, probably like just throw this kid a bone, basically."
Right.
And
Wow,
I was like, "Holy fuck!" And of course I thanked Rick, and I don't know if he responded, but I'm sure he did. But yeah, I was like, he didn't have to do that, and it goes to show how amazing he is. But again, it's like with anything in life, you don't know until you ask. The worst thing they say is no, and that's it.
That's what we believe too. You put it out there, make an honest effort, try, and if it doesn't work out, that's fine. If it does work out, awesome. Like,
yeah, totally awesome. Even better, because most of the time I just expect a no, or you just don't get anything, which is fine too. Like it doesn't. That's not the point.
Exactly, and I just have to keep reminding myself how grateful I am to be in this opportunity where I started this silly little TikTok channel, and it's taken me to some amazing places. It's gotten it's gotten people like you to want to talk to me. Like I don't know, it's crazy to think that. So again, who am I? But no, it's really been an amazing experience. So yeah.
Well, yeah, like we said, we're kind of like we like the same thing. We kind of grew up in the same era, and like yeah, your interview with Rick was pretty freaking awesome. So you're great at what you do for not having a journalism degree or background at all. So
yeah, no, and I totally thought you did. I thought that was your gig kind of thing, was whatever, radio or journalism, whatever way you want to put it.
Yeah, thank you. I really do appreciate it. I think the one thing maybe I have going for me is because I don't have that background, but I like to think that I'm a very personable guy. Even if I don't know you, like Biff, I didn't know her, but I know of her. I felt like we were best friends after that, after we talked. And I think I allow people to open up really quickly to me. I think they feel comfortable talking to me. And so obviously I think that helps. I mean, some people maybe that's not natural to them, but again, I think it's about not putting them on this pedestal and just talking to them like a human being at the end of the day, and just having a genuine interest in what they're doing. I think that goes a long way. So.
That's yeah, you're right.
Yeah, bit of consistency and just be nice to people.
Be nice, yeah. I mean,
nice.
Yeah. We're Canadian. We're pretty nice overall, I guess. So,
so what do you got coming up in the summer other than Osheaga, whatever? But what's coming up in the fall? What do you got coming up that you're excited about?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any. Well, I have like maybe an interview next week with this like up and coming Montreal rock band. Every like month or so, I'll kind of reach out to a handful of people, and I don't have like a schedule or anything, to be honest, until I actually book someone. But yeah, I reach out to random artists like every few months, and especially, of course, at the end of the day, people want to talk to you primarily when they have something, when they want to promote something. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Unless they know you personally, they're not going to talk to you unless they have something to promote. So I have to think ahead, like, okay, if I see something that's coming out, okay, I'm going to reach out to that person or their publicist, because that's the time, right? They want to talk. So yeah, just keep reaching out to artists. Festivals, Osheaga. There's another one in Victoria, BC called Rifflandia, which I'm trying to hopefully go to, get some media accreditation for that in September. And then Vancouver is hosting the Junos next year in March. So I'd like to go to that, if that'd be cool. So
yeah, hopefully you get the call to go to that one too. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and then I don't know. Just enjoy the rest of the summer. So it's like, again, I still want to focus on this stuff and see where it'll lead me, but also just enjoy the summer, spend it with my friends and family, and try to balance both things. And that's that. And then maybe try to date some people, but dating, as you guys know, is the worst thing. Actually, I don't know what your situation is, but it's a struggle, man.
Big city, probably a lot of problems, hey? Yeah.
I had a girl literally yesterday. We were supposed to meet a couple weeks ago. The day before, I'm like, okay, so we're confirming we're good for tomorrow. She's like, oh, I didn't hear from you. I'm like, I'm reaching out to you the day before. What do you mean? Okay, whatever. I made plans. Great. And then yesterday, I'm supposed to meet her last night. And then I get a message at like noon. I'm like, hey, so what's up? What time we meet? And she goes, yeah, I don't think this is going to work out, but good luck. I'm like, okay, bye.
Oh, wow. A little harsh.
That's a little harsh out there, but I'm not going to lie. You got to get yourself one of those little country bumpkin type ladies or something.
I think I need that.
Yeah, I think we missed the social media age of dating. I think it's been over 10 years for me with my fiance. So
Yeah, it's 10 years.
Hasn't been
for
a
me.
fiance for 10 years, but we're
Together
engaged
for 10
now.
years.
But yeah.
Yeah, I'm at the 10-year mark, give or take now, give or take. Yeah,
Wow.
so it's been a while, yeah.
Yeah, we missed the swipe. We don't swipe
You
left
guys
or
are
right.
not missing out.
Yeah,
funny.
people explain things to me. I'm like, I don't really, I'm good. Yeah, totally good on that. Well, that's
Yeah,
cool.
every time I hear like either someone who's married or engaged, they're like, "Oh man, I wish I could go on dating apps." I'm like, "Nope, trust me, nope."
Yeah, I don't know if I want to go down that road, to be fair.
No, I don't think I have the time for that.
No, too complicated for me in that regard. But I'm also
what
like,
about,
I don't mind communicating with people online, but I find that in that type of context, it's very awkward because I'm way more, I'm a better salesman in person, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
What about you guys for the rest of this? I mean, you're doing obviously you have interviews booked, but do you have any plans to attend any festivals or anything?
Well, we got Comic Con or Grand Con coming up here in a couple weeks from now, so that'll be what is it, the 12th, 13th, 14th, I believe, is that weekend anyway. So we'll be doing that, but there's not much in the way of festivals or nothing going on up here. Like you're going to take a little vacation.
Yeah, a little vacation end of the month in January. I'm going to take a little rip to the shoe shop in BC, and then from there go to Seattle for a couple baseball games, and
Nice.
then just come back home and back to work. Yeah,
Back to the pod.
back to the pod.
Yeah, because we're straight into the pod from there. That's the weekend that all this stuff goes on.
It's going to be a busy July, I think, for us. So
Yeah, July will be pretty busy, and then we don't have much going on for August yet or whatever. And I got a couple camping trips booked. That's pretty much what I do all summer anyway. Just kind of go camping and stuff with the kids, and so we're going to Edmonton next weekend.
Speaking of, I just got this for my buddy. I think he'll appreciate it. I don't know if you can see this.
oh nice.
Oh, nice, yeah, you need
yeah.
that. Definitely,
Nice.
that's nice. So yeah, so I'll be going camping, and so I got like 3 camping trips booked. But I just started a new job too, so I don't really have leeway and vacation way. So I'm just taking the long weekends kind of thing, and that's okay. But that's pretty much But it's good because I do need to do some stuff at my house, and I want to do some more stuff with
Yeah, we're gonna
the podcast. Yeah, I want to.
gonna reach out to some more people and hopefully book some people into August. We got some things we're working on. I think we may have gotten something for August worked out. And
Yeah,
then,
we should have a couple for August, maybe even up to September, kind of ish,
so
give or take.
getting a few feelers out there and putting some stuff together. And
Yeah,
I'm excited for this pod to come out, and I'm excited for the next few that are going to be out.
yeah, we got some cool ones coming up here. Yeah, especially with John. We got Bill. We got our buddy Adam. We got a bunch of people. Yeah, things coming up so for that way. So the next couple of months will be really cool for people watching. They'll be busy up until July for us, kind of thing, but. It'll be cool for everybody else at home. We'll be doing like 4 podcasts in a week, I think, coming up. And
That's awesome. Do you guys want to focus more on getting more artists on the podcast?
well, anybody.
For me, it's anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much anybody, really. Like, I mean, literally almost anybody in reality, I guess. Now that I think about it, but yeah, like I'm like for us, like I mean, so far, like your interview 4, 5 kind of thing, right? So.
We've done comedians,
Yeah.
we're going to do, author, directors, filmmakers.
Yeah, so we gotta. Yeah, but we take anybody really. We like I say, I'm just interested in talking to people. Really, is what like if you got a cool story, you're from our time zone kind of thing. If you're
At the end of the
something
day,
to relate to, kind of
kinda-
give her.
kind of relate it back to the era of the 90s and our nostalgia kind of factor. We'd like to make a little play on that, somewhere in there, but we just want to hear from anyone really, if anyone's got something cool going on.
Yeah, you got a cool project, side hustle, whatever your deal is. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's pretty much what we're up to. I would like to speak to 2 more musicians about that's however it goes. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, no, that's fair. And honestly, not that I'm like the expert in this, but like if there's any way I could help you, if you want to try to reach out to someone, I'd be happy to help, in any way.
we appreciate that because we're always looking for help.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because
awesome.
I know there's a dude in Saskatchewan who's slowly getting into interviews, and he's reached out to me. And I'm like, yeah, I can provide you a contact. I can't guarantee anything, but you never know.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if it's just an email, we can get a few emails and keep persistent. Like you said, it doesn't hurt to keep asking, asking more than once, or maybe you might get a yes off the first try. Who knows? But
Yeah.
it'd be cool to get maybe a couple of contacts for a couple of artists, because I mean, you've had some pretty great artists on your
sure. You've done some pretty cool
social
interviews,
media.
like I say, man. You've done some cool stuff, especially for like only a couple of years. You know what I mean? Like that's the thought of thing people don't really realize. I don't think sometimes like it takes a bit to build things, and even just to have the balls to message someone on Instagram, even sometimes depending on who that person might be. So kudos, man, for doing what you're doing. I really appreciate it. I think Ryan does too.
Absolutely.
Thank you, and just don't forget about me when you guys get big. Okay?
Oh yeah. When Joe Rogan calls us up and says, "Hey, would you like to join the network?" We'll be sure to take you along.
No, but we're gonna keep plugging away doing our thing because it's fun. At the end of the day, it's fun. It's fun to remember things you haven't remembered, or remind each other of things that happened in our childhood, growing up in the 90s, which we love. So
yeah, and we get to speak to cool people like yourself, man. Like that's what it's all about. Right?
Love it. No, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
Awesome, man. So we'll let you go again. I mean, we've taken up a lot of your time today.
We appreciate your time for sure, John.
All good. Thank you again for everything, and I look forward to hearing the podcast, watching it, and then of course I'll be happy to share it on my socials.
Awesome, my friend. Awesome. And we'll probably have you back again, I would imagine, if you're willing to, if you're not too big and stuff,
Yeah, that's right. If you want to come back sometime later this summer, that'd be freaking awesome too.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. Hey, if I can ever also make it out there somehow and to catch a festival, that'd be sick too. So.
Yeah, man. Yeah, even if you get as far as Edmonton, that's not that far from here.
So my plan is, and originally I wanted to drive from Toronto to BC, but I realized how boring the first half is. So I'm going to fly into probably Calgary and then drive to BC from there at some point.
That's a better idea.
That's a beautiful drive too.
That's a beautiful drive. Yeah, you're in for a treat there, man.
So I'll keep you guys posted for sure.
All right, thanks, John.
Awesome, buddy. Thanks, John, and you enjoy your night, buddy.
Have a good one.
Cheers.